Hey bass fishing fans, I'm Lake Fork guide Stephen Fothery, and in this short fishing tips video I want to talk about my favorite jigs to use when the water's cold, late in the winter, and early in the springtime. And the first jig that I want to start out with is probably my absolute favorite anytime that I'm going to be fishing a rocky or really clear water lake early in the spring, and that is a finesse jig. I like to have a 1/4 ounce to a 3/8 ounce size finesse jig, either in a flipping head or a round head. And this bait I like to keep in very natural colors when I'm fishing this lure. I like to use shades of green pumpkin, shades of watermelon, and I like to match the trailer to that jig. Fishing this bait is simple. I'll make a long cast and very slowly drag this bait back to the boat. Try to feel the bottom the entire way back. Now the second jig that I want to talk about is probably the one that I use the most in the springtime, especially here at Lake Fork, and that is a 3/8 to 1/2 ounce black and blue flipping jig. Black and blue is a great color for muddy all the way up to clear water conditions. When you're flipping a jig, I've seen it work in crystal clear water and I've seen it work in muddy water. This style jig is perfect to flip to stumps, boat docks, laydowns, any type of really heavy cover that's going to hold some of those big pre-spawn bass. This bait is perfect for. Make sure you use this bait on a 7.5 foot medium heavy to heavy action rod and at least 20-pound fluorocarbon line. You have to have that heavy line in order to pull these fish out of the thick cover. Fishing this lure is simple as well. I'll keep my boat in 5 to 15 foot of water and I'll flip standing timber. Here on Lake Fork, it's a great pattern, especially if you stay around the creek channels. Now the third jig that I want to talk about is great for catching big fish, and that is a 3/4 ounce football jig. Not a lot of anglers get out deep early in the springtime, late in the winter. You know, most anglers are up shallow focusing on these bass getting ready to spawn, but I'll tell you, if you can find an offshore group of pre-spawn bass that are coming up from their wintering areas and feeding, you can throw this 3/4 ounce jig and just catch some absolute monster bass. I like to throw this bait in natural colors as well. Make sure to match your trailer with this jig. One thing that I recommend to a lot of my customers and friends is that if you can have one rod, one 7.5 foot heavy flipping stick that has that 20-pound line, then you can use that for both of these jig techniques. You can throw the heavy 3/4 ounce jigs, you can throw the lighter flipping jigs, as well as a bunch of other techniques. So if you don't have that rod in your arsenal, pick one up. You'll be glad that you did. Late in the winter time, early in the springtime, we all know a jig is king, but it's all about choosing the right color and the right size of jig in order to get those good bites. So in this video, we just learned my 3 favorite jigs for late winter and early springtime fishing. I'm Lake Fork guide Stephen Fothery. Until next time, good luck fishing.